The COP26 UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow has underscored the urgency for collective action from world leaders to confront climate change. But alongside calls for decisive action from governments, corporations and global agencies comes the recognition that individuals, local communities and other grassroots stakeholders can and must play a bigger role in addressing this climate crisis. From starting environmental awareness from a young age to ensuring sustainable fishing, community leaders in this small town in Johor are equipping their villagers with the right skills to protect the natural environment. Long before the sun peaks over the horizon, local fishermen from Tanjung Kupang gather at this jetty and prepare to head out to sea. As they set their nets and lines, check their engines and look up for an indication of the weather, they hope that the day's catch will be a good one. 70-year-old fisherman Muhammad Ali has spent more than half his life out at sea, and every day he's had to venture out just a little further than before. Villagers of Tanjung Kupang in Johor are still dependent on the seas as a source of food and livelihoods. Many of them in the community are fishermen, and they ply this narrow strait between Malaysia and Singapore. Now, these fishermen, they're used to inshore fishing, never straying far from the coastal mangroves and seagrass areas near the jetty. But over the last couple of years, they've noticed that the weather has been erratic, the winds are changing, and even the water patterns have been strange. This has forced them to move further out into the sea, far from the mouth of the river. I meet Muhammad Ali as he reels in today's catch. Pak Ali, apa khabar? Dapat banyak ketam hari ni? He tells me the effects of climate change make it difficult to gauge just how much bounty there'll be in his net.
Jadi dia tak menentu macam dululah musim. Ni nasib baik cuaca baik tau. Tidak ada 2 hari lepas hujan ribut, dia nak pergi ke laut tak boleh. Jadi bila macam air arus kuat menjadi musim air besar, sampah banyak, itu yang jadi masalah nelayan.
Changes in fish catch and living conditions are one of the direct effects of climate change, a topic many environmentalists are studying closely. Dr. Sarina Rahman is an environmental scientist, anthropologist, and a visiting fellow at a university in Singapore. Her work in this coastal community over the last 13 years earned her a local award for environmental protection. Dr. Sarina wears many hats, but she tells me she's essentially just a teacher. And my first lesson with her starts right here in the middle of the sea. This is actually the longest contiguous seagrass patch in all of Peninsular Malaysia, and the only one that you can walk in during low tide. So we're here at this bank of seagrass. Why is it important to preserve the seagrass here?
So seagrass is the nursery grounds for fishery species. If we clear all of this grass, we're going to lose that, and the artisanal fishermen will lose their income.
The other thing that's really important about seagrass is that it sequesters carbon. So in comparison to land forests, for example, it can actually trap 50 to 100%, 100 times more than land forests. So it actually has a lot of benefits to it beyond just being a place for fish to hide and feed. And if you dredge seagrass areas, you're actually releasing that carbon. So that's not a good thing too.
This seagrass area also holds a special place in Dr. Sarina's heart. It's where she met her husband, local fisherman Shahlan Jumat. In 2008, the couple co-founded Club Alami, an organization that enables villagers and students to learn more about the rich marine ecosystem and environment there. It also trains youths to become marine researchers and community leaders.
Club Alami ni banyak idea yang saya nak daripada zaman saya kecil, tapi dia tak dapat. Sebenarnya macam nak mendidik dan beri naikkan anak muda tempatan supaya berjaya.
23-year-old Muhammad Irfan joined Club Alami as a child and developed an interest in nature and conservation along the way.
Irfan now manages Club Alami and recently earned his nature guide license. This allows him and his clubmates to bring tourist groups out to explore their village's natural treasures.
First, kita buat aktiviti pembelajaran, iaitu pembelajaran mengenai sains marine dengan pembelajaran bagaimana nak jaga alam semula jadi kat kawasan sini juga. Daripada situ juga saya dapat meluaskan saya punya pengetahuan lah. So Dr. Serina dengan Abelan ni memang betul kira macam guide saya jadi seorang budak yang memang berguna juga untuk kampung ni. Ni pasal habitat yang tadi aku cerita.
Club Alami's youth leaders also actively engage with other stakeholders like corporations and government agencies to highlight the need to balance development with the protection of local flora and fauna. Dr. Serina hopes the club can be an example for other communities across Malaysia to follow.
Actually, the baseline of what we're doing is to support the fishermen and the wider community so that research then feeds into, one, being able to have enough knowledge to manage the habitats themselves. So it's a community-led habitat management program that we want to instill.
Dr. Serina and her husband Shahlan have also roped in Tanjung Kupang's fishing community to help care for the environment. About 40 fishermen are part of Pasar Pendekan Laut, a seafood market managed by Shahlan. It aims to help the fishermen earn a reasonable income and boost awareness of sustainable fishing. Tanjung Kupang provides a model for how other communities can better manage and preserve their natural resources. It shows that the actions of ordinary people in indigenous and local communities can make a big difference in mitigating the effects of climate change.
Indonesia has some of the world's most intact and diverse tropical rainforests. The country's forests and peatlands also store large quantities of carbon, making them critical to the world's efforts to fight climate change. I'm in Ngada, East Nusa Tenggara Province, to find out how cultivating bamboo could help Indonesia reduce its carbon emission.
The majestic Mount Inari is the pride of people in Ngada Regency. It looms over communities and vast swathes of forest areas. Near the foot of the volcano, bamboo grows in abundance, their seeds sown by past generations of natives. Arif Rabik is passionate about bamboo and he is championing its use in Indonesia as a solution to mitigate climate change. Arif was inspired by his mother, the pioneering environmentalist Linda Garland, who founded the Environmental Bamboo Foundation in 1993.
So is it more than 7 years?
The 38-year-old bamboo specialist describes the giant grass as a sustainable resource which can be harvested indefinitely without the need for replanting.
It grows in clumps.
Bamboo has a wide range of uses, from food, textile to construction. Bamboo forests also have a high carbon sequestration rate, absorbing 50 tons of carbon per hectare per year.
So this is smart. But you also have the other side, where you have emission reductions, right? Stopping these huge landscape-based emissions from fire, from conversion of land, from deforestation, where when we give communities a system that does give a fast yield, that they can harvest and sell, then they don't need to go to the large standing forests, the primary forests, and illegally harvest and log very valuable timbers, right?
Arif is leading the foundation's initiative to establish 1,000 bamboo villages in Indonesia. Started in 2015, the program aims to empower communities, especially women, to support themselves financially by raising awareness about bamboo. 50-year-old Emiliana Mao is teaching residents how to propagate bamboo. Its cultivation is a new source of income for these women. They get 17 US cents for every polybag of bamboo plantlings they grow.
Terus terang dengan adanya bibit bambu ini, tentu untuk kami ibu-ibu di desa itu sudah sangat membantu menunjang untuk menambah ekonomi rumah tangga kami masing-masing.
Indonesia has nearly 2 million hectares of bamboo forests which are partly owned by indigenous communities.
Bamboo is not actually a tree, but it's a type of grass. Thus, giant grass can grow 1 meter a day up to a height of more than 20 meters. But even though bamboo grows very quickly, it takes a long time to harvest, usually about 7 years. This is roughly the time it needs to build in strength and durability.
Hieronymus Jawa looks after 10 hectares of bamboo forests collectively owned by his tribe and recently started a partnership with the foundation.
Di saat mereka punya acara dulu orang tua hanya tanam bambu, hanya pikir untuk kebutuhan sendiri, misalnya bikin rumah tinggal dengan kandang ternak. Tidak ada pikiran untuk mau jual beli kan bisa dapat uang, tidak ada pikiran. Tapi selama kerjasama dan yayasan maka kita tinggal panen uang saja. Jadi setiap habis panen mereka telepon, Pak, nanti ke kantor ambil uang.
Harvesting bamboo is much easier than cutting down timber. In less than 15 minutes, the job is done. The 1,000 Bamboo Village program has gained momentum in East Nusa Tenggara, with 40 villages joining the initiative so far. The local government recognizes the program's potential and wants the province to be a model for the rest of Indonesia.
Kekuatan 1000 desa bambu itu menjadi alat propaganda, bukan saja buat NTT, tapi propaganda buat Indonesia, bahwa cara menanam bambu dan cara memanen bambu dan cara untuk membangun industri bambu di Nusa Tenggara Timur salah satu contoh terbaik untuk dapat diikuti.
The bamboo villages are supported by a factory which processes the poles after they are harvested from the forests. At the factory, bamboo is cut to the required measurements and sliced into sticks to produce semi-processed bamboo material for the industry. The central government plans to cultivate bamboo as part of a more sustainable green economy. It's nearly finished, a national strategy document to guide the development of the bamboo industry in Indonesia.
The last step that we need right now is to have a public consultation with line ministries, with other stakeholders, so to get constructive inputs in order to finalize that document. So I think within the next 1 or 2 months, or maybe the end of this year, this national strategy can be completed.
The Environmental Bamboo Foundation aims to establish 1,000 bamboo villages in Indonesia by 2029. But it has a more ambitious goal to expand the program to 9 other countries and create 10,000 bamboo villages by 2036. It hopes to finance the project through a public-private partnership scheme that's already attracted a number of investors.
The breakthrough we're looking for is for it to be even bigger. We're thinking about what are the next 10 countries that could start bamboo village programs. And if that happens, that will be a major, major, major step for mitigating climate change.
Work has started to reach out to partners who can champion the Bamboo Village program in countries like Myanmar, India, Colombia, Peru, Mexico, and Ghana. For Arif, his work serves as a source of hope and inspiration to improve lives and mitigate climate change, with his unshakable drive to turn his vision into reality.
The more villages we take on, the more that network gives a positive narrative towards our program. And so we build trust, and then more partners come on in an easier way. So we are really hitting that trajectory point of many, many more partners coming on now in the last few years.
And Indonesia has an excellent opportunity to build on its considerable progress in reducing deforestation and restoring degraded forests. Bamboo, which has been touted as the wood of the future, could be a game changer in the fight against climate change. With further commitment and action, there is still a bright future for Indonesia's forests and for those who depend on them.
Everyday items we're all familiar with. But there are also items we often just discard without much thought. Dozens of boxes filled with such used material end up here at the home of Bangkok artist and social activist Wicculada Pantanuwong, who's known as A. It's the stuff from which she creates sustainable art.
When I was 10 years old, my parents tell me about the trash is very useful, it's not throw away. So in the younger, I cannot understand why it's not throw away, but I can grow up and I understand it because of a lot of ways is really affect directly to the environmental problems.
A's parents were the first to teach her the importance of reusing or upcycling materials thrown out after a single use. This lamp was one of the first items her father made when he started creating useful products out of trash. But today it's A who's educating her parents and other people about the perils of climate change.
I am 16. When I collaboration with the big organization, the CEO look about the installation art is wow, it's so big. It's really a lot of waste material from the organization. The CEO create and the policy of waste, a policy of environmental in the company. And launch about the campaign to the employee to reduce about the plastic waste.
Thailand made some headway with an environmental roadmap, for example, by introducing a ban on single-use plastic bags at major supermarkets and convenience stores in January last year. The Natural Resources and Environment Ministry says the country uses 45 billion plastic bags on average annually. Since the introduction of the ban, Thailand managed to reduce that by 12 billion. But the COVID-19 pandemic reversed that positive result, causing a surge in the amount of plastic waste.
We see amount of plastic from food delivery, from online shopping. Most of it actually come with plastic packaging. This is the amount of plastic waste that increased since we are working from home. So the government need to revise and to reconsider plastic waste management roadmap for Thailand.
Color space.
That's why A feels it's even more critical now to make her work count.
This time to the artists can change the mindset of the people. The first is the consumer is the consciously you must to think before you buy, and you must think before you use. The big producer produce a lot of waste. I think the big producer is change it.
A estimates that she has reused about 2,400 kilograms of waste materials over the last 3 years to create her various art installations. But she's well aware that's a mere drop in the ocean, given that Thailand is ranked the 6th biggest contributor to marine plastic in the world.
Well, snack packagings like these are often thrown out once you're done with the chips. Plastic bottle caps that are attached to your shampoo as well as to your detergents are also often tossed. And the computer keyboards, well, some of you change it rather regularly. But all of these items can actually be turned into rather useful items later. For example, this bag using the back of a computer keyboard. These handles are being constructed with computer cables, and the inside using old garbage bags. This bag costs about 2,000 baht or about $60 US. Now, many of you and I don't even think twice about tossing out items that are in our daily lives. But remember here, Thailand alone, for example, generates some 25 million tons of plastic waste on average every year. That fills up about 175,000 garbage trucks, out of which only 25% of that is being recycled.
That's why A wants to use soft power to get the message across. From creating art pieces in her home to showcasing it in public spaces, the 28-year-old wants to leave an impression on all. A has exhibited her art at home and in countries like Germany and South Korea. She has also worked with major Thai corporations and hotels to display her installations, and they're resonating with some members of the public.
ก็จะมีการบอกเขาว่าให้เหมือนกับว่าอย่างหลอดน้ำอย่างเงี้ยค่ะที่เวลาเขากินเนี่ยเขาก็สามารถเอาหลอดน้ำเนี่ยมาทำเป็นงานศิลปะแบบนี้ได้หรือว่าฝาขวดอย่างเงี้ยค่ะคือมันเป็นการพัฒนาที่มันไม่มีความยั่งยืนอยู่แล้วในปัจจุบันเนี้ยค่ะแล้วถ้ามันเป็นแบบนี้ต่อไปเรื่อยๆเนี่ยค่ะในอนาคตเนี่ยไม่ว่าจะเป็นมันไม่ใช่แค่ประเทศไทยแต่มันเป็นทั่วโลกที่ทรัพยากรมันจะเสื่อมแล้วก็มันจะไม่เหลือถึงรุ่นเขาเมื่อเขาโตขึ้นมาค่ะ
Some say the crucial next step is for activists to find ways to upcycle waste material into items people can use in their daily lives.
They have to think about design, how they collect recyclable items and design to become a product that can be used longer and longer, maybe making a design to be more durable and more applicable, so that it's not just a decoration.
It took 1 month, 2 people, and some 2,000 used plastic straws to create this particular outfit. It's not meant to be a fashion statement, but more of an environmental statement that the activist is trying to make. Every straw that you ask for and throw out without consideration, this is the kind of waste you're generating, and it's absolutely unnecessary.
A knows that she can't change the world or Thailand overnight, but she firmly believes that each small step is still a step forward. And while many people tend to think that bigger is better, A thinks otherwise.
My art piece is really big, and in the future is a smallest, and no have the art piece from waste materials. We must to change the everyday life to concern about the environmental problems. Now we can do it. We can change it.